It's big, it's bold, it's the event on the local design calendar. It is Design Indaba 2012. This week, in a special edition, we'll take you behind the scenes of South Africa's largest design expo. We'll find out what the city of Cape Town stands to benefit from it and show you what the cool kids consider hip and happening. On screen, on Facebook and on Twitter, this is Mags on Media. It started off as a relatively small operation featuring 40 exhibitors and attracting around 8,000 visitors in 2004. Let's fast forward to 2012 and Design Indaba has established itself as the go-to expo for the best that South African design and creativity has to offer. This year, the Expo boasts more than 300 exhibitors, a music and film festival and a projected 40,000 visitors over the course of 3 days, as well as a congress featuring 41 leading experts from across the globe. The trick then is to keep it fresh and fun year on year and to generate excitement among local and international media. We caught up with a busy man who makes it all happen during a quick coffee break.
It took us a while for us to get traction. We're pretty much a bipolar society that's been pretty much about politics and sport. So it was a slow burn, and it's also because this has been a passion play that we did astride our day jobs. So we were never really fully engaged in doing this. This was our contribution beyond our very hectic day jobs. We thought, well, somebody needs to start to be the advocates for creativity, for design, for innovation, and start to talk about how could we become an idea society. How can we start to play store by intellectual capital? How can we reimagine our circumstance? It just started first off by bringing a host of thought leaders from all around the world to come and share their stories with us. And the first thing was to play catch-up. But it's subsequently just been this burgeoning platform, and it's grown from the conference to an exposition, which is purely South African. It's just a global conference with a South African exposition, a kind of global event, global and local wrapped together. And then it's burgeoned beyond that into a film festival and a music festival. We've been finding our voice, we've had increasing confidence, and what we're able to do here is perhaps bring all of the people together and find a way to create some unity and create a creative coalition. And so break down the silos, as it were, from the different chambers in the creative industry and get everybody to talk together. So I think that's probably been the biggest attribute and task of the Design Indaba, where it's been this broad church that has celebrated creativity of any kind of stripe. And it's an absolute labor of love, you've got to know. We have some very peculiar, idiosyncratic ways of doing things. One is, it's personal, it's handmade. Every speaker here, bar a few, there are 41 in the cast, has been met personally. So it's flights across 6 continents in a calendar year. But our project is not just a simple conference, it's way more than a conference. So I need to impose upon them and impale them with the passion of this project that we're on about in South Africa. So you just don't come in and give the kind of generic speech you gave last week to a university. This is something that you need to do for us, and it's bespoke, and we engage them like so. So it's a commission to come out to Design Indaba. And I've already got 18 speakers lined up for 2013. If it gives you any kind of an idea, when you're talking about the individuals that we get, who are at the top of the respective professions, you just don't book them for the end of February next year now. Sometimes we've had to make bookings for 2014 or 2013. So for people to have a 3-day indulgence of the conference, we have to work for 362 days and sometimes more for that particular favor. We have an enviable position right now when we tease our ad agency about it, and the Jupiter Drawing Room does our ads. And so this year we're doing an ad that's actually breaking only at the conference, which sounds completely counterintuitive, because we didn't do any pre-marketing. Last year when we did our ad campaign, our ads broke the day we were sold out. So the ads are not really about putting bums in seats. The ads are to make a statement, it's about a provocation, it's about extending the message of our ethos and our manifesto of why we do what we do. fundamentally, and it may sound like a complete anti-marketing proposition, I think it's to put a great product together. It kind of sells itself. I mean, Design Indaba, it's #1 in Twitter sphere in South Africa in the last 3 days, and you know, the people speak. And I think the hardest thing for us is that we spend all our energy really on product and really crafting an amazing experience, because this is what it is, and we live in the experience economy. I've got no widgets to sell. We sell an inspiring experience.
One of the main focuses of Design Indaba is to give a fresh crop of young talent the opportunity to strut their stuff in front of local and international buyers, the public, and obviously their peers. 40 recent graduates in a multitude of disciplines ranging from jewellery design to architecture took their first steps to becoming South Africa's new generation of creative talent right here at the 2012 showcase.
I think it's absolutely fantastic. It's beautiful to see all the South African talent coming through, and as buyers focusing on the local talent, it's very important that the showcase is very inspiring.
Well, I think the main thing is that it's all local designers and artists and creators, and I feel quite strongly about supporting South African talent. And there's a lot of stuff you can bring in from overseas and what have you, but there's just such a lot of talent in South Africa that you actually don't need to go anywhere else.
Incredible innovation that I'm seeing everywhere. I think the ideas that people are coming out with are just absolutely amazing, so I'm very impressed.
We get a good exposure from customers and buyers.
It teaches us how to interact with customers and buyers and the media and, you know, that kind of thing.
The best part about it was that people were giving me a lot of positive feedback, and they were really assisting me on how I should make my ideas better and selling online and giving me nice ideas.
It's an amazing opportunity to be able to have your work seen by so many people.
I'm basically launching my company here, so it's a great opportunity and a great platform to launch it, obviously with all the local buyers, international buyers. It's a great privilege, and I'm very excited to start off like this.
Coming up on Mags on Media, how does the city of Cape Town take full advantage of the spin-offs of events such as Design Indaba? Cape Town, the place where good wine and beautiful people meet. That, unfortunately, isn't enough, though, to guarantee the city's reputation as a world-class leisure destination. And while hosting big events such as Design Indaba is helpful, you still need a clear strategy when it comes to branding the city to both local and international guests. So, if Paris equals love, London equals tradition, and New York equals energy, what feeling do we want Cape Town to be synonymous with?
Well, Cape Town is in the process of kind of looking at our branding and how we want to position ourselves, obviously. And so what we really want to encompass is, when we come up with any slogan that depicts our city, it really should be that this is a great place to work, live and play. You know, and we also have the challenge of changing our image from just being a leisure destination to a place where you can come and do investment and work. Actively building our brand is really to start looking at what makes us credible, what makes us competitive, but also look at the threats to the brand. And I think we've devised a whole lot of products so far. We've also, with all our accomplishments, with the awards that we have won, that starts strengthening your brand. And now, because this is a new territory for us as a city that we're charting, we're becoming globally competitive, globally recognized. And so now it's time to start looking and strengthening the brand that currently exists, as a leisure destination. I think that's what the brand really is associated with. I mean, we're a challenger brand to other competitors, obviously, and we are being challenged. And we are challenging our traditional markets. We are challenging for space in the African traditional markets, in the South American markets. And so what we are doing, we're starting to establish ourselves as a very competitive brand. And so obviously we're looking at ways and means to not only compete but to sustain and also to venture into new territories, uncharted waters for us, and that is really the BRICS countries. We've really transformed our city. Besides just having the beautiful mountains, the Robben Island, the traditional tourism sites, there's been huge infrastructure developments. I mean, we've seen the World Cup. That really put us on the world map, on the world stage. And that has sparked interest when people were here. And so what we also have achieved was, with Table Mountain being named as a seventh wonder, natural wonder, the World Design Capital 2014, that has put us on the global stage. So those things sparks an interest in international visitors. We now have a public transport that people use internationally, so you want to start offering that. But also what makes us great is that we've started to adopt a responsible tourism and looking after our natural resources and our sustainability of our industries. Tourists have become responsible in their own countries, and they want to go to destinations that also practice responsible tourism. Durban actively goes out and bids for events. We don't have that policy just yet. What we have done is to reposition the city and its administration. We have now formed a new directorate called Tourism, Events and Marketing, and within that events department we will now position ourselves to start bidding for events, to attract events that will not just come and be a once-off, but events that will also impact on our economic sectors, that will give economic spin-offs. Our challenge in the Western Cape is to create jobs. We must grow our economy to create jobs, and so our eventing policy will lead to how we impact on the economy as well, and in the various sectors that will help us. So Design Indabas and those kind of events, obviously 2014 helps us tremendously in starting to kickstart our economy, but through smart eventing, buying events or purchasing events or bidding for events that will give us the edge over other cities. So events for events' sake, yeah, but we have to look at the value chain that goes down with that and how it builds in a sustainable economy that will create jobs for people. The great thing about Design Indaba is that you have exhibitionists here. You also have guys, obviously a lot of retail happening and orders being taken, and so there's spin-offs, long-term spin-offs for this thing. But the great thing is that you're building a platform for designers, and designers with the potential to become entrepreneurs. This is where we're wanting to go. This is the type of events that we're wanting to be associated with. This sets us apart from many other cities. So they can have a football event, and that's great to have for social cohesion and bringing people in. But this is really the ones that changes lives, that gives young designers an opportunity to come and exhibit their wares. And we really want to position ourselves not just as a tourist destination, but as an innovative hub.
Well, from city branding to facial dynamics, and international scent expert Cecil Tolas was one of the speakers at this year's Design Indaba. Best nose forward, she took some time to smell her way around Cape Town.
The first moment you smell a smell is the moment you remember, or the source of that smell for the rest of your life. So the emotion in that context of the smell, if that emotion is positive or negative, that is the emotion linked to the smell for the rest of your life. We are living in a world where primarily vision is what dominant. You know, the look of things is transposed, you know, white walls, shiny surfaces. What happens if I understand a situation from the nose perspective? I understand it much more fundamentally, and it stays there for a long time. Memory of smell is fundamental. 100% smell memory remain after 1 year. Vision 30% after 3 months. What I do in South Africa, yes, I'm here to do a portrait of the city from the perspective of the nose, and dig into the micro level of the city, behind what you see, the activities performed in different neighborhoods all over the world. You know, if you ask people, what is the smell of Cape Town? What is the smell of your shop? Like down the street, I ask a guy, it's interesting smells here. I immediately identify what the smells come from. This is my 15th city, by the way. I always wanted to do a project in Africa. So the way I do it is, first, I use my own software. In this case, the nose. My healthy hardware have amazing softwares, being the sensors. And as you all know, we primarily use vision for all those purposes, called navigation, communication, understanding, decision making, so etc., etc. What could happen if you start to use nose for the same purpose? So I put my nose into the neighborhood. I sniff my way around and back and forth, here and there. You have to concentrate so much. You know, where is the smell? If I'm able to sample the smell, I sample where the smell comes from, the source of the smell. If I'm not able to sample the source, I have a tool, like you have a camera to make an image, I have a tool to X-ray the air. So I have a tool, a pocket portable tool, which is a pump of a kind with a different strength of airflow. With this tool, I'm able to collect the molecules from the situation I'm interested to find out about. Yeah? I get a scan of the molecules in that given situation, and the peaks of the molecules and the identification of the molecules. And with this kind of data, I go to chemistry. I have a lab in Berlin. Through chemistry, through chemicals, I reproduce the reality I'm after. Yeah? But of course, there are much more molecules in reality than I have in chemistry to reproduce, so it's always on the way somewhere. And having said that, the molecules and material I have to my disposal is primarily there to cover up, to camouflage and deodorize the same reality. So the paradox of what I do and the company I work with is exactly that. You know, I show the same reality that they try to cover up. And it's much more difficult to do replication or to do reproduction of a smell than it is to make an abstract version of. Yeah? Hopefully, I will be able to reproduce most of what I've collected here. I intend to make a beginning of a city guide. Yeah? And I have a lot of different technologies who enable to put smells on paper, for example, a map, a beginning of a map for the nose. And then I hope to put some of the research on display somewhere in the city. And so I trigger the next step. So I intend to make it more broad and more big. If for nothing else, it's about challenging people to, you know, maybe use their nose a little bit more for other purpose than just breathing in and out. So that the process is as important as the product. At the end of this stay, I will have, hopefully, some smells that represent that kind of intention and purpose. And by decontextualizing this reality, you know, I challenge people's curiosity towards it. So in the end, hopefully, they will go here, smell around like dogs, and discover a different dimension of Cape Town.
Coming up on Mags on Media, how South Africa's leading design magazine celebrated Cape Town being named the design capital of 2014. Also, some little-known facts about Design Indaba. Now in its 9th year, Design Indaba manages to keep its edge by staying on top of and setting some trends of its own. So here are a couple of things that you may not have known about the Expo. For instance, did you know that Design Indaba 2012 took up 1,000 square meters more floor space than in 2011? This brings the total floor space used for exhibitions to a whopping 7,500 square meters. Also, it takes just 36 hours to set up the exhibition space and just 6 hours to break it all down again. Green measures were introduced to ensure a limited carbon footprint this year. All the stands using energy-efficient LED lighting, and the carpets used to cover the floor area will be cut up and repurposed after the event. According to a survey done by the UCT School of Business, the event has contributed more than 600 million rand to the national GDP and has created just over 1,000 jobs. It doesn't hurt Cape Town's trendy image when local and international media and cool creative types flock there for the annual Design Indaba extravaganza. But it would seem the city has a good solid run in the luck department of late as well. Table Mountain was named one of the 7 natural wonders of the world late last year. And more recently, the city was named Design Capital for 2014. VC Magazine had something special in mind to celebrate this honour and also had a trick or two up their fashionable sleeves for their own exhibition at the Design Indaba Expo.
VC wasn't surprised at all when Cape Town won the bid, because there is something in the air, and we all know there's something about the South at the moment. The Southern Hemisphere represents a place of opportunity, a place of resources, a place of ideas, and so we knew that there was no two ways about it, that Cape Town was going to represent that depth that the South is sort of offering the world at the moment. The graffiti wall was a great experiment. It was our then online editor's idea to ask Mac one of Cape Town's top graffiti artists, to paint a happy face, or paint a face, a yellow Cape Town face, through the night while we were waiting for the announcement. And literally, as the announcement came, we were to decide whether it would be a happy face or a sad face. And then the words "Visi loves Cape Town," if we didn't get it, would have said "Visi still loves Cape Town" with a sad face. But happily, we painted a smile. I think it's a tremendous honour. It's not only an honour, it's really, on a practical level, it is just sheer fantastic news for a country that requires tourism, that requires investment, that requires attention, and it raises the bar. It is going to push all the creatives, the designers, everyone in this country who has an ounce of creativity and an ounce of design inspiration to go that extra mile, and for the world to notice us. So, I mean, if we can have a design capital, a World Cup, a big event every couple of years to push our country to rise to another level, South Africans seem to love that. We do rise to challenges, and it's going to be fantastic. Just as you think that Cape Town can't do it any better, or Design Indaba can't do it any better, they do. There's always a rabbit out of the hat. There's always one speaker that knocks you out, and there's always something at the expo that takes your breath away. And from what I've seen of the speakers, there's definitely again a sense of that democratization of design, of how it's time to listen to what people's needs are rather than telling them what they need. VC came up with an idea inspired by a Japanese designer to ask visitors to the Design Indaba Expo to help us colour in our stand. So our decor editor and her team, Tracy Lynch, drew a jungle, and we've got 1 million coloured stickers, and we've got people coming to visit our stand and helping us to colour it in with coloured stickers. So it's lots of fun, it's interactive, it's all about, design isn't something that's inaccessible and unattainable, it's just beauty and fun.
And there you have it. As we play out with a beautiful Cape Town sunset, please remember to send your comments on this year's Design Indaba to our email address, or voice your opinion on our Facebook page or our Twitter feed. Until next time, goodbye and thank you for watching.